Rian opened his eyes slowly. Bright white lights filled his vision, and his head felt heavy. For a moment, he couldn't move. He heard a soft hum around him like machines working quietly. Then a voice came from beside him. "Don't you remember?" "Me?" He turned his head. A girl was standing next to him. She had short silver hair, calm eyes, and a kind smile on her face. Her hands were gently holding his. "I'm Ellen," she said softly. "You've been asleep for a long time." Rian tried to speak, but no words came out. He looked around. He was lying on a metal bed inside a strange room. The walls were smooth, shining silver, and a large window showed stars outside, thousands of them. "Where am I?" He finally managed to whisper. "You're on the space station Halo 9. Ellen replied. "You came back from a mission, but you were injured. Your memory is not fully back yet." Rian sat up slowly. His muscles ached, but his mind hurt more. It felt empty, like pages missing from a book. He looked at Ellen again. "Do I know you?" he asked Dadiel. I didn't answer right away. Her eyes looked a little sad. She smiled again, a little weaker this time. "You used to," she said quietly. "But don't worry, we have time." Rian looked outside the window. Earth floated. In the distance, blue and green, but part of it looked burned, dark and scarred. He stared at the damaged planet. What happened to Earth? Ellen hesitated. There was an energy wave. A shock. It hit Earth and many nearby systems. No one knows where it came from. But you. You might have the answer. Rian blinked. Me? She nodded. You were the only one who came back from Project Reach. The name sounded familiar, but he couldn't remember why. His heart beat faster. Something deep inside him was trying to wake up. What was Project Reach? It was humanity's first deep space journey beyond the map systems. You were part of the crew that crossed the Andromeda Void. That word void made his skin feel cold. Ellen. What did we find out there? She looked down. You came back alone. No one else returned. Rian closed his eyes. He tried to remember, but his mind was like fog. He saw flashes, sand, darkness, stars spinning too fast, and a sound. A sound. That wasn't a sound at all, He opened his eyes again. How long was I gone? 5 years, she said. But when we found you, you hadn't aged. You were in a small escape pod drifting near Saturn. Rian rubbed his face. Why can't I remember anything? You hit your head. Your mind is healing. We didn't want to use any force or implants. We hoped you would remember naturally. He looked at her. But why are you here? Why not a doctor or soldier? She smiled again. Because I was part of the mission too. That surprised him. He stared at her face. She looked young, maybe 20, but there was something in her eyes, something older. You were with me on the ship? I wasn't crew. I was different. You'll remember. Soon. Before he could ask more, the door opened. A man in a uniform stepped in. Captain Rian, he said with a sharp voice. Glad to see you awake. Rian didn't recognize him either. I'm Commander Vale, the man said. You're on Station Halo 9, orbiting Earth. We've been trying to recover data from your escape pod, but much of it is locked behind code only you can access. I don't remember any codes, Rian said. Vale nodded. Expected, memory loss. But we need your help. Ellen stepped forward. He needs rest. Earth doesn't have time, Vale said firmly. Since Rian returned, strange signals have been detected across the system. We believe the thing that caused the energy wave is coming back. Rian stood up, slowly. His body felt heavy, but his legs held. Show me the signal, he said. Minutes later, they entered a command room. Screens showed star maps, energy readings, and data flows. One screen displayed a broken video file. A flickering image showed Rian, but a version of him looking tired. Older, eyes wide with fear. The Rian in the video was shouting something, but the audio was missing. The screen showed only, "It is not what we thought," then static. "That's you," Ellen said softly. Rian stared. "I don't remember this." Vale turned to him. "That warning was recorded on your pods. Black box. But the rest is scrambled. We need you to remember." Rian's heart pounded. He was speaking to himself from the past, but what had he been trying to say? He sat down, head in his hands. Then a vision flashed again, a tower. A strange tower rising in the sand. Lights spinning in circles. And a voice deep and distant. He whispered. There was a place, a tower, on a desert world. Her face turned pale. "You're starting to remember." Vale looked at both of them. "If you know something, tell us." "Earth is not safe." Rian shook his head slowly. "I don't know yet. But I think I saw something humans were never meant to see." He stood again. His eyes burned with new strength. "But if I brought back a warning, then I must have known what to do." Ellen placed a hand on his arm. "You're not alone, Rian. I'll help you." Rian looked at her. Her eyes held something deep, something beyond memory. Maybe he didn't remember her yet, but somehow he trusted her. Rian sat quietly in his room, staring out the large window at Earth. The damaged side of the planet looked like a scar, blackened, broken, and cold. He couldn't stop thinking about the video. The version of himself in that message had been shouting. He looked desperate, afraid. What had he seen out there? What had he brought back? The door opened. Ellen entered with a tray of food, something warm and simple. "You haven't eaten," she said gently. Rian turned his head. "I'm not hungry. You need energy," she said. "Your body is healing, but your mind needs time too." He didn't answer. He kept looking at the stars. Ellen placed the tray beside him and sat in the chair across from him. "Do you remember anything new?" "Only pieces," Rian said. "Flashes, sand, a tower, and a voice. But I don't know if they're real or just dreams." "They're real," she said softly. He looked at her. "You said you were part of the mission, but I don't remember seeing you on the crew list." Ellen smiled sadly. "I wasn't listed." Rian frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked away, then back at him. The mission wasn't just to explore deep space. Project Reach was also a test, a secret one. You were chosen for more than just your skills. Chosen for what? To make contact. Rian felt a chill. With what? Ellen stood up and walked to a small console on the wall. She tapped a few buttons, and the screen lit up with old data logs. "These are fragments from the Reach mission," she explained. "We've been trying to recover the files, but most are locked. You placed the security blocks yourself." He walked over and stared at the screen. His own name was listed on every file. "Why would I block them?" "Because you were trying to protect something," Ellen replied. "Or someone." She tapped another file. A series of images played. A dry world full of red sand and tall mountains. A strange tower stood in the center, shaped like a spiral, glowing faintly. Then another image, a silver sphere floating above the sand, humming with quiet power. Rian stared. "I've seen that place. It's called Velar," Ellen said. "You and your team landed there during the 3rd month of the mission. The tower was not natural. It was alive." "Alive?" "Yes. The structure was built by something ancient. Something not from this galaxy. The tower spoke through signals. It sent messages. And it tried to learn from you." Rian took a deep breath. "I still don't remember. But I feel like I was connected to it." "You were," Ellen said. "And that connection saved your life, but also changed you." Rian looked at her again. "And what about you? How are you connected to all this?" She hesitated. "The tower created me. Not as a machine, not as a human either. Something in between." He stepped back, surprised. "You're not human. Not fully. she said. But I'm not a threat. I was created using your memories, your thoughts. The tower tried to understand you, and it made me to help. I stayed with you when the others didn't make it. Rian's heart sank. They're gone? She nodded. One by one, they disappeared. The tower didn't harm them. But the planet was not safe for humans. Only you survived because you formed a bond with the structure. Rian sat down, overwhelmed. And then I came back. Alone, with me, Ellen said gently. I stayed inside the machine until we reached the edge of the solar system. I woke when they found your pod. I stayed hidden while they healed you. Rian rubbed his forehead. So all of this Earth's damage, the signals, the warning, it started with Velar. Yes, the tower you found is a beacon. A kind of ancient alarm. When it was activated, it sent a signal across the stars. To what? No one knows, but something answered. Rian felt the weight of her words. The damaged Earth, the rising fear. The coming storm. He stood again. We have to go back. We have to stop it. Ellen shook her head. It's not that simple. The beacon is part of a larger network. If we want to stop what's coming, we need to understand the full message. Then show me how, he said. Ellen nodded. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small crystal, glowing faintly. This holds part of the signal. You gave it to me before the pod launched. She placed it in Rian's hand. The moment he touched it, images rushed into his mind, lights, symbols, sounds that weren't words but meanings. He gasped and dropped to his knees. The vision was clear now. He had stood in the tower, hands on a control panel. The tower had asked him questions, not with language, but with emotion. It wanted to understand love, fear, courage, sacrifice. And he had answered. Back in the present, he opened his eyes. Ellen was beside him. I remember more now, he said. The tower was afraid. It wasn't trying to warn others, it was calling for help. Something ancient is waking, and the tower was begging for protection. Ellen looked serious. Then we have little time. A soft alarm rang through the station. A voice echoed through the walls. Unidentified signal approaching outer system. All science officers report to command. Ellen and Rian looked at each other. The signal had returned. We need to go to command, Rian said. Now. They moved quickly through the hallways. People stared as Rian passed. Some whispered. Many still didn't know he was awake. In the command room, Vale stood at the center of the control floor. Screens flashed with new data. An object was entering the edge of the solar system, dark, massive, and moving with unnatural speed. It's the same pattern, one officer said. Same signal as the one from the Velar beacon. Vale turned as Rian entered. You've seen this before? Rian nodded. It's not just a signal. It's a scout, Vale frowned. A scout for what? For something big, Rian said. Something that doesn't understand mercy or peace. We have to stop it before it reaches Earth. Vale looked uncertain. How? Rian turned to Ellen. By finishing what we started. The metal doors of the lower station groaned as they opened. Cold air flowed out like a whisper from the past. Rian stepped inside slowly, his boots echoing against the steel floor. Ellen followed quietly behind. The lights were dim here, flickering. Like tired eyes, this part of Hollow 9 was restricted. Few people ever came down this far. And in the center of the room stood it. The machine. It was tall. About 3 meters, shaped like a twisted column of smooth black metal. Thin blue lines glowed faintly across its surface, like veins under skin. The air around it hummed, vibrating gently, as if the machine were breathing. Rian stopped in front of it. That's it, he said softly. That's the one from Velar. Ellen nodded. You brought it back, even when the others said not to. He stared at the strange object. Memories pulling at the edge of his mind. I said it was important. I just didn't know why. Ellen walked closer, her fingers hovering just over the surface. It's alive. Not in the way we understand life, but in its own way. It listens, it waits. A panel beside the machine lit up as Rian stepped near it. The lights on the machine pulsed slowly once, twice, then settled. "Do you think it remembers me?" he asked. Ellen glanced at him. "It remembers everything." Rian placed his hand on the glowing panel. Suddenly, his mind was flooded with images, stars bending, voices speaking without sound, energy flowing through empty space. He stumbled back, breathing hard. The machine had spoken. What did it say? Ellen asked. Rian wiped sweat from his forehead. "It showed me coordinates, far away. Another tower, I think. One of many." Ellen looked thoughtful. "So the beacon isn't alone." "There are others," Rian nodded. "This one sent the first warning. But the rest, they form a network, a defense system." "Then we need to wake the others," Ellen said. "Before the enemy reaches Earth." A voice echoed from the hallway. "We can't send you alone." Commander Vale stepped into the room with 2 guards behind him. He looked at the machine with suspicion. "You kept this hidden," he said. "Why?" Rian stood tall. "Because it's not a weapon, it's a key. And it only works with someone who has been touched by it." Vale crossed his arms. "And that's you?" Rian nodded. "Yes." Ellen stepped forward. The tower chose him, and now it's asking for his help. Vale looked from Rian to Ellen. "And what are you?" She didn't flinch. "I'm a bridge between machine and human. I was made to help." Vale hesitated, then slowly nodded. "Very well. You have clearance to take a scout ship, but we'll be watching." Hours later, Rian and Ellen sat inside a small spacecraft called the Echo Light. It was fast, built for deep space and loaded with sensors. The machine had been placed inside the ship's rear chamber, connected to the ship's system. The launch was smooth. As the Echo Light left the station and moved past Earth, Rian looked down at the blue planet. Half of it was still full of life. The other half was dark. He made a quiet promise to himself. "I'll bring back the light." The ship jumped into faster-than-light speed. Stars became streaks, and silence wrapped around them like a blanket. Inside the ship, Ellen sat beside the machine, eyes closed. She was listening, not with ears, but with something else. Something deeper. Rian watched her carefully. "Do you feel it?" She opened her eyes slowly. "Yes, the machine is guiding us. It knows the way." They traveled for hours, then days. Time blurred. Rian didn't sleep much. He kept having dreams of the tower, of voices calling his name, of light and shadow dancing on red sand. Finally, the ship slowed. Ahead of them was a strange planet, gray and cold, with sharp mountain peaks and lightning storms in the sky. In the center of the largest valley stood another tower, taller than the first. Its surface was cracked, glowing with dim golden light. "We're here," Ellen whispered. The ship landed gently near the base of the tower. Rian and Ellen stepped out, wearing protective suits. The air was thin, sharp, and cold. The ground crunched under their boots. The tower pulsed with life. As they approached, parts of the wall opened like doors, inviting them in. Rian placed his hand on the wall. The tower responded instantly. Lights shot upward. Energy moved through hidden veins. The ground shook slightly. "It's waking up," Ellen said. Inside the tower, a platform rose. Rian and Ellen stepped onto it. It took them to the heart of the structure, a massive chamber with floating rings of light spinning slowly. In the center hovered a glowing core. Ellen stepped forward. "This is the signal hub. From here, the message can be changed or stopped." Rian looked at her. "We're not stopping it. We're adding to it." She nodded. "Yes, a new signal. A human message." Rian reached into his suit and pulled out the crystal Ellen had given him earlier. It glowed in his hand. Slowly, he placed it into a slot beside the core. The lights inside the tower changed color from gold to blue. The tower listened. Rian closed his eyes and spoke, not with words, but with feelings. He remembered Earth, its oceans, its forests, its music. He remembered laughter, sorrow, hope, courage, and most of all, love. The tower began to pulse stronger. "It's working," Ellen said. "The signal is rewriting." The rings of light spun faster. The energy in the chamber grew warmer. The machine was sending the new message across galaxies. But then everything stopped. A deep, heavy sound filled the air. The lights dimmed. "What's happening?" Rian asked. Ellen's eyes widened. "Something is blocking the signal." Suddenly, a dark shape appeared in the sky outside. Huge, sharp, cold. A ship, but not human. Rian ran to the outer window. "They followed us." Ellen looked at the tower's core. "If they destroy this one, we may lose our chance to activate the rest." "We have to protect it," Rian said. "But we're just two people." Rian looked at her and smiled. "No, we're more than that. You're the bridge. I'm the spark. Together, we're the first step." The enemy ship began to descend. Rian turned back to the control panel. "We'll finish the signal, even if it's the last thing we do." The enemy ship hovered above the tower like a dark cloud ready to strike. It was massive, silent, but heavy with danger. Its shape was sharp and smooth, built for no purpose except fear. Inside the tower, Rian and Ellen stood beside the glowing core. The light was still blue, but it was flickering now, weak. Something was jamming the signal, blocking the message they had just begun to send. Rian tightened his grip on the panel. "They're trying to stop us." Ellen nodded, her voice calm but serious. "They know what we're doing. If this signal reaches the other towers, the network will awaken. And then Earth will have a chance." The tower's walls began to shake. Outside, the enemy ship started charging its weapons. A thin red beam of energy pointed directly at the top of the tower. Rian turned to Ellen. "If they destroy the core, everything is over." She looked at him with steady eyes. "Then we protect it." Suddenly, the inner chamber doors opened, and several small drones floated in. They were shaped like black spheres with glowing red eyes. These were not from Earth. Rian stepped in front of Ellen, raising the energy shield built into his suit. "Stay behind me." The drones fired bright beams, striking the ground near them. Sparks flew. Ellen raised her hand, and a wave of blue light burst from her palm, knocking two drones out of the air. Rian ran forward and smashed one with his shield. It hit the ground with a metallic thud. More drones flew in. "We can't stop all of them," Rian shouted. Ellen looked up at the core. "There's one way. I can merge with the tower, just for a short time. It might give the signal enough power to break through." Rian turned to her. "You'll connect again? Won't that hurt you?" She hesitated. "I'm not sure, but it's the only chance we have." Rian shook his head. "No, it's too dangerous. You once trusted me to guide the signal. Trust me again," she said gently. Rian looked into her eyes. She wasn't just a creation of the tower anymore. She was something more. Something human. He stepped back slowly. "Okay, do it." Ellen closed her eyes and walked toward the glowing core. The energy around it wrapped around her like wind. The tower reacted instantly, lights spinning faster, colors shifting from blue to silver. She floated slightly off the ground. The machine had accepted her again. Outside, the enemy ship noticed the change. Its weapon beam became brighter. It was getting ready to fire. Inside, the signal began to grow stronger. Symbols lit up on the walls, and energy flowed through the floor. Rian watched as Ellen's body became surrounded in light. She didn't scream. She didn't fall. She stood like a bridge between the ancient tower and the soul of humanity. He could feel her mind reaching out, not just to the other towers, but to something deeper. Something alive in the machine. Then he understood. The towers are not just Machines, he whispered. Their memory. Suddenly, Rian saw visions, not memories of his own, but memories from the tower itself. He saw the first builders, a race long gone, tall beings with silver skin and deep eyes. They had built the towers to protect younger life across the galaxy. They had known the darkness was coming. And they had left behind a code 1 that could only be completed by something. They didn't fully understand human emotion. Rian gasped. That's why they needed me. That's why they made Ellen. The enemy ship fired. A red beam of energy crashed against the outer wall of the tower. Dust and fire exploded across the valley. The tower shook violently. Rocks fell. One wall cracked, but the core still glowed. Rian rushed to the control platform. He had no idea what he was doing, but his heart knew. He placed his hand on the panel and closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, its green forests, deep oceans, the laughter of children, the music of cities, the silence of mountains. He thought of fear, of pain, of losing people. He thought of hope, of standing again, even after falling. The tower reacted. Lights exploded upward like lightning. The silver core turned golden. A loud pulse of energy shot upward into the sky. The enemy ship staggered in the air. Its systems were confused by the wave of emotion. The signal was reaching it, not just the warning, but the heart behind it. Then Ellen spoke. Her voice was mixed with the tower. It echoed like a song. We are not machines. We are not codes. We are life, and we will not be erased. The enemy ship began to fall back. Something had changed. It was no longer attacking. It was retreating. The tower was fully awake. Elena slowly stepped away from the core. The light around her faded. She looked pale, tired, but alive. Rian rushed to her and caught her before she fell. You did it, he said, smiling. You finished the signal. Ellen nodded weakly. No, we did it. Later, the echo light returned to Hello 9. The enemy ship had vanished into the void. The other towers, still far away across the galaxy, had answered the call. The network was active. Earth was no longer alone. In the command room, Vale listened quietly as Rian explained everything: the towers, the code, the signal, and Ellen. The commander nodded slowly. We owe you more than we can say. Rian looked at Ellen, who was resting nearby. We owe each other. That's what being human means. Vale looked at the stars through the large window. And what comes next? Rian replied. We wait and prepare. The enemy now knows we're not helpless. Next time, we won't be alone. Ellen opened her eyes and looked at Rian. Her voice was soft but strong. The signal is out there now. It carries your heart. Your courage. It carries us. The stars outside Halo 9 looked peaceful, but peace was an illusion. Deep in space, something was moving. It was dark, massive, and silent. The retreat of the enemy scout ship hadn't been a defeat, it had been a signal. A warning had gone out to the rest of its kind. Back on the station, Rian sat in a briefing room with Commander Vale, Ellen, and several officers. A large screen on the wall showed a strange pattern, an approaching energy field from beyond the edge of the solar system. This is it, Vale said, pointing to the red wave. The main force. They've seen our signal, and now they're coming. Rian looked at the screen. How long until they arrive? 6 days, replied an officer. Maybe less if they speed up. The room fell silent. Ellen looked calm but serious. We activated the towers. They know we are awake. Now that's why they're coming in force. Vale nodded. We've sent the data to Earth. The world governments are preparing defenses, but we know it won't be enough. These machines don't fight with ships and guns. They consume data, signals, and memory. They break minds before they break bodies. Rian stood up. Then we don't wait for them to come to us. We go to them. The room stirred with murmurs. You want to fight them out there? Vale asked. No, Rian said. I want to finish the signal. He walked to the screen and tapped. A point beyond the wave, there's a final tower. The largest one. I saw it in the vision the machine gave me. It's not just a beacon, it's a control tower. If we activate it, the full defense system will awaken. Vale raised his eyebrow. And how do you plan to reach it? It's far beyond any charted space. Rian turned to Ellen. She knows the way. Ellen nodded. The machines that made me. They left behind a path. I can feel where it leads. Vale sighed. It's a suicide mission. Rian's eyes stayed firm. Then let me be the one to risk it. Earth deserves that chance. Vale stared at him for a moment. Then slowly he nodded. Take the Echo Light. I'll give you a pilot and a full II support unit. But after this, there's no turning back. A day later, the Echo Light launched again. This time, the journey was deeper, faster. The ship sliced through space like a needle through cloth, guided by Ellen's quiet instructions. Her connection with the tower network had grown stronger. She could feel distant machines calling back to her like echoes in the dark. Rian sat beside her in the cockpit, checking the systems. How are you holding up? Eileen gave a small smile. Better than before. The more I learn, the more I feel. Real, you are real, Rian said. You saved me. You saved Earth. She looked at him with soft eyes. You gave me a reason to exist, a voice. Rian looked ahead. The stars stretched endlessly. Do you think we can stop them? Ellen paused. If we can awaken the final tower, maybe. It holds something ancient, a final message, a last line of defense. Hours passed in silence. Then suddenly, the ship's slow dot ahead of them was a strange space, a void with no stars, no light, only shifting shadows. Floating in the center was a massive black structure. The last tower dotted looked broken, pieces missing, lights dead. Around it floated hundreds of wrecked ships, old and silent. This place had seen war before. Rian whispered, it's asleep. Ellen touched the controls. No, it's dreaming. And we have to wake it gently. They landed on a platform near the cavern, near the base of the tower. The surface was covered in dust and frozen ash. Wind didn't blow here, but something moved, energy pulsing under the floor. Rian and Ellen walked carefully toward a doorway. It opened slowly, as if the tower recognized them. Inside was darkness. Then lights flickered on blue and white, soft and calm. They reached a large circular chamber, where a strange device floated in the air. It looked like a heart made of light and metal, beating slowly. This is the core, Ellen said. But it's damaged. Rian walked around it. Can we fix it? We don't need to, she said. We need to connect to it. Share with it. Rian looked confused. Share what? Our truth, Ellen said. Our purpose, what makes us human. She placed her hand on the core. Nothing happened. It's not enough, she said. It needs more than memory. It needs meaning. Rian stepped forward. Then let it see through me. He touched the core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then light exploded across the chamber. Rian saw visions again, memories of Earth, his family, the old days before the mission. He remembered laughter, war, peace. His first time looking at the stars, he remembered. Fear, but also hope. He remembered Ellen, the girl created from his own mind, now standing beside him, more alive than anyone. The tower responded. The lights grew brighter. The damaged parts repaired themselves. Energy flowed again, but then everything stopped. The air turned cold. From the outside, a shadow passed over the tower. They're here, Ellen said. The enemy fleet had arrived. Massive black ships circled the tower like sharks. Around wounded prey, Ellen looked at Rian. We don't have time. Rian clenched his fists. Then we finish it now. He turned back to the core. Take everything. Take my life if you have to. But send the signal. The core flashed bright gold. Ellen gasped. It's working. It's rewriting the final signal. Now, the tower began to rise from the platform, floating upward, unfolding like a flower. Antennas reached out to the stars. One of the enemy ships fired. A red beam shot toward the tower. Rian stood in front of Ellen. "Get back." But the beam never hit them. The tower had activated a shield. A clear wall of energy blocked the attack. Then another flash of light burst from the tower, brighter than any sun dot. It wasn't a weapon dot. It was a message. A wave of emotion. Data, memory, and meaning exploded into space. The enemy ships staggered, confused, and some of them began to turn away. Back on Earth, the signal reached the outer stations. All across the network, towers awakened. Their lights joined in a single pattern, a web of thought, born from one man's memory. The forgotten signal was no longer forgotten. That had become a voice for all of humanity, and the enemy was listening. The tower's light stretched across the stars. That it was not a laser, not a weapon. It was something far stronger, a message full of memory, emotion, and truth. The kind of message that could only come from living beings. The enemy ships, those massive black machines floating like shadows, began to shift. Some held their positions. Some moved backward. Others trembled in place, confused by what they were receiving. Rian stood on the tower's platform, watching the sky fill with silver blue light. His heart pounded. He felt like a small piece of something much larger, like a drop of water finally reaching the ocean. "Ellen," he said quietly, "it's working." She stood beside him, eyes wide with wonder. "They're hearing us, not just our words, but who we are." Then a deep sound filled the air. It was not a sound of attack, but of decision. The main enemy ship, the largest, moved forward. It was darker than all the rest, with strange lines of red along its body. Ellen stepped closer to Rian. "That one. It's not confused like the others." Rian nodded. "It's the leader. Or the oldest." The ship stopped in front of the tower, just beyond the energy shield. And then a light flickered on its surface. A single message appeared in the air, written in alien symbols. The tower quickly translated it into human language. "What is your purpose?" Rian stared at the message. "They don't understand why we fight. Why we protect." Ellen nodded. "They were built for survival, not for meaning." He turned to her. "Then we give them one." Rian walked back to the core of the tower and placed his hand on the glowing panel. His voice was steady. "Our purpose is not just to live," he said aloud. "It's to grow, to care, to remember. We are not perfect. We fear, we fall, we break, but we rise again. We help each other. That is what makes us strong." Ellen stepped forward beside him. "We are not machines. We are not programs. We are choice. We are hope." The tower pulsed once more, brighter than before. The energy wave spread again, reaching farther this time, beyond the enemy fleet, beyond the solar system, into deep space. The enemy ship remained still. Then, without warning, the lights inside it flickered. Some parts of it cracked open, and a strange black cloud began to escape. "It's rejecting the message," Ellen said. "It doesn't want to change. It wants to erase us," Rian said. The ship charged its weapon. Ellen's eyes turned to the tower's core. "We can stop it, but I'll have to give everything." Rian looked at her sharply. "What do you mean? This tower? It's old, damaged. The only way to activate the final layer of defense is to merge fully with the system. I'll become part of the tower. My body, my mind, everything." Rian's heart dropped. "No, there must be another way," she smiled gently. "You gave me life, Rian. Not just the tower, but you, your memories, your belief. I was created to be a guide. But now I want to be more. I want to protect what gave me meaning." Rian reached out and took her hand. "There's still time. We can leave. We already sent the message." Ellen shook her head. "The message woke some of them, but not all. The ones who heard will stay away, but this one will not. Stop until it is shut down. Tears formed in Rian's eyes. You're more human than anyone I know. You shouldn't have to do this. She leaned her forehead against his. That's exactly why I have to. Then she stepped away and walked slowly to the center of the tower. The core opened like a flower of light. Ellen stood inside, her body surrounded by beams of blue and gold energy. The enemy ship fired. A red beam of destruction tore through the air, but before it could strike the tower, the defense field activated fully. Powered by Ellen's mind, the tower responded instantly. A shockwave burst outward, stopping the beam in midair and sending the enemy ship reeling backward. Rian watched in awe and sadness. Ellen's body was glowing now, fading. Her voice echoed. In the chamber, soft and warm, you gave me a voice. I'll use it to protect you. The tower's final system activated. The lights across the ancient walls turned white. A new wave of energy, clean, strong, and clear, pulsed through space. The enemy ships, still watching, began to react. Some shut down. Others turned and left. And the largest one, the leader, began to crack apart. It let out no sound. It simply faded into dust, piece by piece, until nothing remained. The sky was quiet again. The war had ended, not with fire, but with a message. Rian stood alone inside the tower's main chamber. The light was dim now. The machines were still. Ellen, he whispered. There was no reply. But the core glowed faintly soft. Blue. He stepped closer. On the center screen, a single message had been left. I remember you. He smiled sadly, wiping his face. You kept your promise, he said. So I'll keep mine. Back at Halo 9, the world was watching. The towers across the galaxy were now fully awake. Earth's leaders saw the signals being shared in real-time, messages of peace, warnings of danger, and the voice of humanity reaching out into the stars. Commander Vale stood at the main window, watching Rian's ship return from deep space. He did it, an officer said beside him. Vale nodded. No, they did. Later, Rian stood in the quiet garden of the station. Plants from Earth grew in small boxes. He placed a hand on one flower. The petals opened gently in the light. Ellen, he said softly, I hope you can still see this. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the towers still glowed. Weeks passed after the great signal was sent. The stars seemed calmer. The sky looked more open. Across the solar system, the enemy ships had vanished. Earth was safe. For now. But for Rian, peace didn't feel like victory. He walked the quiet halls of Halo 9, his footsteps slow. The people nodded to him with respect, some even with silent admiration. Everyone knew what he had done, what they had done. But none of them truly knew what he had lost. He missed her. I not the girl who wasn't born, but made. The one who had saved them all. Not with weapons, but with heart. She had given her entire being to the final tower so that Earth could survive. And now, she was gone. At least, that's what Rian believed. One evening, as he walked past the control room, an officer ran up to him. Sir, she said, you might want to see this. Rian followed her to the command deck. Commander Vale was already there, staring at a screen. What is it? Rian asked. Vale pointed. A signal, faint, not enemy, something else. The screen showed a glowing point of light, far beyond the Maiva. Last tower. It pulsed slowly, repeating the same simple pattern. Rian stared. His heart skipped. The signal was not an alien code. It was inhuman. Memory data. And it repeated three simple words. I am here. Rian didn't wait. He requested a ship. Vale approved it without question. This time, Rian didn't take weapons. He didn't take soldiers. He only took himself. And hope. The journey was long. The signal led him beyond the last tower, into a part of space never mapped. Stars here were scattered like paint across a black canvas. The silence felt deeper. As the ship approached the source of the signal, Rian saw something strange. It was not a planet. It was a construct, round, bright, glowing with the soft blue and gold of the towers. But this one was different. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Rian landed his ship and stepped out onto a platform surrounded by light. The air shimmered. It wasn't cold or hot. It was just still. Then a voice spoke. Soft, familiar. You came. Rian turned. She stood there. ELIN. But not as before. She wore the same face, but there was something new in her eyes, like a star had been placed inside them. He whispered. She smiled. I thought you might not find me. He walked closer, unsure if she was real. How are you alive? I'm not alive in the way you know it, she said. When I connected to the tower, it didn't destroy me. It changed me. I became part of the network. My body is gone. But my mind, my soul, if you want to call it that, stayed. Rian's hands trembled. So you're still you? She nodded. Yes, I remember everything. I remember the ship, the towers, the stars, and I remember you. Tears filled Rian's eyes. I thought I lost you. I thought I lost myself, she said softly. But your signal saved me. The message you sent, it carried more than just data. It carried your heart. They stood together in silence. The stars above them flickered. Ellen spoke again. I can't return the way I was. This body you see, it's a projection from the Q Tower's mind, but I can still be here. I can still speak. I can still feel. Rian nodded slowly. Then let me stay. She looked surprised. Rian, he stepped forward. I went to space searching for answers, for a reason to fight. And I found you. I don't want to go back and pretend this never happened. She touched his hand, and for a moment, it felt real. You don't have to stay forever. Earth still needs you. But you can return. This place is part of the tower network now. It will always welcome you. He smiled through his tears. I'll come back, always. They stood there under the endless sky, not as human and machine, but as two beings joined by something greater. Not technology. Not power, but connection. Back on Earth, things began to change. With the towers now awake, humanity had access to ancient knowledge. Clean energy systems, advanced medicine, better space travel. The towers didn't give everything at once. They shared slowly, like teachers watching their students grow. People began to build new ships. Peace grew between nations. Children were born into a world where the stars were no longer out of reach. Rian returned, sometimes to guide the new generation. He told them stories of the first signal, of the forgotten war, of the message that saved them, but he always returned to the farthest tower. To her, one day, many years later, Rian stood once again on the glowing platform. His hair had turned gray. His eyes were softer, wiser, and as always, she was there, still smiling, still waiting. Ellen, he said, I think it's time. She nodded. Are you ready? He stepped forward. I've lived enough to know what matters. I want to spend what's left with the one who showed me what it means to care. The tower glowed brighter, and for the first time in decades, the light wrapped around Rian, not to harm, but to welcome. His body faded into golden light. His voice whispered one last time, I remember you. And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the stars burned quietly, not in war, not in fear, but in peace, because someone had sent a message.